Good afternoon, everyone. I'm once again back with another amazing guest, Sofia. And Sofia is coming straight from Stockholm just to visit us. That is not that accurate, but
No.
it's pretty close.
I'm going straight to Stockholm. That's
Okay,
it.
right after here.
Yes.
So yeah, we have Sofia, who is a tech recruiter. And once again, the idea today is to get to know her journey, ups and downs on joining that industry, and her successes, her failure as well, and the things that she will advise the younger self her to do if she had to do over or do again. What will she do differently? These kind of things, and so yeah, welcome, Sofia.
Thank you.
So, can you tell us your story? Like, how did you get into that industry, the tech industry? What is the story of you studying something around that, and then you jumped into that industry? And why did you go that route? Was it planned? That's a lot of questions.
It was not planned at all, and I
Okay.
did not study anything to do with recruitment, nor
Okay.
HR, nor tech, nothing. But 5.5 years ago, I was in a job that I didn't want to stay in,
Okay.
and I applied for pretty much any kind of job
Wow.
I could think of. Because I've done various things in the past. I mean, my degree from university is in English and Spanish. I've worked as a teacher. I've washed pots in a school cafeteria. I've done pretty much anything. I've worked with sales.
Wow.
And I was working with sales at a company. And I didn't want to stay there, and applied for a variety of jobs. And I applied for a job as an account manager at a recruitment company.
Okay.
And they called me for an interview. I was at the interview, and they said to me, like, well, you can't be the account manager, but you can be a researcher.
Oh,
And I was like,
that is a big kind of title you get out of the box, because it's a researcher. If you're like, oh, really? Am I going to?
Yeah,
dig
but
into
I didn't know what it was. So I was
Okay.
like, yeah, what's that? And they explained to me what it was. And they were a tech recruitment company. So they explained to me what the researcher does. I'm like, yeah, sounds fun. I'll do that.
Okay.
And that's how I got into the tech recruitment industry.
Wow.
I knew nothing.
And they gave you a like a path to get into that, like
No.
things to learn, or
No, they gave me access. We shared a LinkedIn Recruit license. So they gave me access to a LinkedIn Recruit license.
Oh, wow.
And they gave me pretty much an Excel sheet with students at the top tech universities in Sweden and what they were studying and when they were about to graduate. And that was pretty much it.
And your goal was to get them
To get people in for interviews.
Okay, so which was the first tech terms you had to, like, or you just had phone numbers and then you got to call them, or
Yeah,
what was the
it was
flow?
basically finding them either through the list of people. The first thing that you did as new at that company was pretty much dealing with the junior
Okay.
developers and things like that. So you call the list from the universities, calling people about to graduate and just speaking with them and what they wanted to do, and got them in for an interview. And you mentioned our clients, kind of thing. So you started with that, and then you looked at LinkedIn and finding more senior ones and finding their phone number. And I mean, 5.5 years ago, calling people still worked. They picked up the phone and actually spoke to you,
Okay.
which they don't do anymore. So at that time, it was still calling people. So it was just kind of either through the list of people from the schools, or just looking at LinkedIn, finding people's phone number. And in Sweden, finding someone's phone number is quite easy. We're quite an open country. Now it's more difficult, but it's just out there. So just calling.
Okay,
everyone.
but then even back then, you were calling them, telling them what, like,
Yeah.
I'm looking for. Which technology were you looking for? What
It was
were
a
your
lot of-
customers were
To
looking
start with, a lot of Java.
for? Okay.
It's always Java. Not that much C Sharp at the beginning, but more Java, and probably some like front-end developers.
And
as well,
did you know what Java was back then?
I probably didn't know what Java as such was, but when I was younger, when I was like 12, I would write text-based games in QBasic.
Oh wow.
I taught myself HTML when I was like 14, 15, you just went in view source and stuff
Is
like
it
that.
is it a trend, or am I, because you're just the second guest now that has done programming?
Yeah, but I just knew that, and but I mean, I've used a computer since before there was Windows. I mean, I did the run C:, blah blah blah. Using DOS, so
nice.
I've done that, and so I've used the computer most of my life, and programming was interesting. I know my friend's big brother was doing the QBasic stuff, so I just wanted. It was just lots of if and go to kind of. It's not that tricky.
Okay, that helped you a lot.
Yeah, so I've always because I knew HTML. I taught myself HTML through looking at, if you found a website you liked, you go and view the source and you get the code and you understand how to do it. And I can still read. I can't produce today's HTML, but I can read it.
Okay.
The same with CSS. I can probably copy paste the CSS I like and then make it do what I want it to do.
Wow.
So I understand. And I remember I don't remember anyone having to explain the tech to me as such. And I remember later on when there were other recruiters maybe starting who had no clue, they were going, well, what's front end and what's back end? And to me, I was like, why don't you understand that front is what you can see, back is what you can't see?
Wow.
To me, nobody would ever had to explain that to me.
Okay. So you, as you grew into that industry and seeing the junior coming in, they will ask you, hey, Sofia, what is front end?
No, yeah, the junior recruiters, yeah.
Yeah. And then, so basically you will just use that logic saying, yeah, there is, get your thing straight. It's just front and there's back, so
yes.
Something visible and then something not.
But also, if there's something you did, what you learned so much from speaking to the candidates. So you're on a phone call to them, and it's not like you're going to them, what do you know about Java? How much do you know? You ask them more open questions and getting them to tell you stuff.
Nice.
And they would start talking about something. You just make notes going, yeah, pretending you understand what they're saying. And after that, you just go on like Google and Wikipedia and just look it up.
Nice.
So, and the same when you were interviewing candidates, they would tell you, and especially the junior ones, they would talk about their master thesis, about the projects they've done at school, and you just are taking notes and you're nodding as if you understand. Okay. And then you just go look it up.
So you had, were you working at it was an agency, right?
Yes.
So they had no formal training.
No, none whatsoever.
Okay, wow.
You just had to pick it up.
That is that's a pretty harsh way to make a transition, or you probably felt like maybe they knew you were already tech savvy in a way, and then they just thought
that's
like
probably. I mean, they knew that to some extent. I think that's why in the interview they were like, "You can be a researcher."
Okay.
Rather than the sales job, but to me, recruitment is sales as well.
Indeed,
that's what you do. But I think they knew, but there was no training even for the ones who didn't have that background.
Okay.
It was just kind of just learn on the job. But like I said, when you're talking to the candidates, and it's not like they're not going to ask you really tricky questions about the tech. They're just going to talk about tech to you, and you kind of just going, yeah, I get what you mean, but I don't really. And then you just have to look it up.
Okay, I like that, because at the end of the day, you somehow you just need to deliver the right candidate, but then you learn on the job. But the teacher isn't knowing that you actually. That they're
teaching me.
Yeah,
No, but it's the candidates that you learn from, because they will, and then you kind of go, oh, what does that, or how does that, well, what did you do then? How does that go together? And they will explain it to you if you ask questions.
And did you have to deal with, because that's the part where you deal with candidate, but then at some point you also have hiring manager on the other side. Did you have to deal at some point with that?
In the beginning, there was the recruiter who had the actual client contact.
Yeah.
But, I would interview people, I would write the presentation of the candidate together, and all the recruiter really did was send that email to the actual client.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm a client, please. Because I didn't really see where they were going to get commission from for just sending an email. When I found the candidate, I interviewed the candidate, I wrote the information about the candidate, and they sent an email. That to me is kind of wasn't that fair. But
Okay. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, but to me, the client, I mean, I had done sales in the past. I mean, client interaction is not an issue.
Yeah, because sometimes I spoke with Eva and Teddy, and then they will tell me about this hiring manager giving them these incredible, almost unrealistic job descriptions, and then go and look for a candidate that will match it. And have you ever had such a thing?
I mean, I've worked on difficult things, but I don't have any recollection of somebody having really crazy demands.
Yeah.
It's more maybe they haven't been that attractive a company, so it's been more difficult in actually getting people to want to work for them rather than the actual requirements.
So at this stage, what will be the most inspiring story you had recruiting someone, or like a rare Ruby that you're like, okay, that person was a rare find, but you made it.
Well, the best, thinking of rare finds, I mean, when I started, like I said, I was giving LinkedIn recruiter license or access to one, we shared it, and then an Excel sheet with the candidates. And I started thinking, when you feel like you've emptied LinkedIn. So I was always
empty LinkedIn.
Yeah, but you feel like that sometimes.
Okay.
I've seen all these candidates. I've tried to contact all these candidates. I need another pool of candidates that are not that. So and I don't know what year this was, but I discovered Meetup.
Okay.
So I found a group. I was looking for an iOS developer, and I found the group Cocoa Heads on Meetup, and there was about 1,000 members or something like that.
And you were like, "Holy crap!"
I manually went through each and every member, copy pasted a name, and looked them up on LinkedIn. And what I did, if they were on LinkedIn, I ignored them.
Okay.
So I managed to find this one person who was not on LinkedIn. I sent him a message through Meetup, because at that time you could still message people directly, on Meetup directly. Yeah. And he replied. He came in for an interview and everything, and he ended up getting the job.
Nice.
And at the time, he was not on LinkedIn. He is now on LinkedIn, but he wasn't at the time. So that to me and was really good, because everyone was just in the company I was working for. Nobody moved beyond LinkedIn. So I've always kind of had that, trying to find the new way of doing it.
I think it's also an exhausted pool, a resources pool today, because a lot of people learn about that, and then they actually flood the LinkedIn, Meetup, and all these other.
But the guy I reached out to, obviously nobody reached out to him because he was not anywhere else. Yeah, and so in a way, I didn't know anything else about him other than the fact that he was a member of the Cocoa Head group. So he could have been just anyone. Yeah. But I also reached out to him, trying to go, what do you do? With just getting to him on the phone. And in the end, he ended up getting the job. So it was good. That was my favorite story from the agency side, I suppose.
Okay. And then what happened after that? You spent a few years there.
I was there for 3.5 years. Part of that was maternity leave, because I had my trying to think, my second daughter.
Okay. Wow.
But like, as I mentioned, I went to Meetup, and I was always trying new ways, but they were very much like, no, get back on the phone, do what we always done. And I tried Talentbin. I started reaching out to people through email instead, because I started feeling like phone calls weren't working. And it was like, yeah, that's good, but nobody else is doing what you do, Sofia, so go back to the old ways. So I started feeling there was no way for me to develop with them, because they were kind of just shooting my ideas down when I knew it was good ideas. So I started looking, and I felt like I wanted to go in-house rather than being an agency, because agencies focus so much on to just deliver and just get the client X amount of candidates, and not really caring
numbers focused, and
number focused and not innovative, and it's just like that. So I felt I wanted to go in-house, and I saw there was they advertised a maternity leave cover at TV4, which is one of the major TV channels in Sweden, and they develop streaming services and things like that. And I knew that when I had tried to recruit people from there, they were difficult to get. I hadn't managed to take any of the developers. Okay. So to me, that was an indication that was a good place to work at.
Okay. Yeah.
So I felt
that's a
like
nice way of saying it.
Yeah,
indeed.
because I couldn't steal them,
metric,
which means they're happy.
Yeah.
And obviously, I want to work for a company where people are happy. It's easy to recruit for.
Yeah.
So I applied for that job, and some people were going, "Well, why are you going after a temporary position when you are a full-time employee?" I'm like, "Well, I'm a tech recruiter. If it doesn't work out, if I don't go beyond the year, I'll get another job. It's not going to be a problem." So I got that job, and that was 2 years ago, and I'm still there. Okay. Now as a freelance, so obviously it worked out.
Okay.
So just a year cover got extended, and then in the end, they took me on as a freelance consultant. So it did work out.
So what would you recommend to younger self, saying like agency versus in-house?
I actually think that starting with agency worked for me.
Yep.
And I think that it's a good route to take, because you get to work on so many different type of racks, and you get to learn the different types of tech. You go to have one is Java, one's that you need a kind of just a web developer, and then also need C#, and then you need some sort of infrastructure, and then you need that. So you get to know tech in a better way. Like currently I know our tech stack and I'm focused on that, but there you had a wide variety of things, and you get to learn different companies, you get to speak to so many people, so you understand what's cool and what's not cool. I learned that PHP nobody wants to work with that, but
really?
Yeah,
in
really?
Sweden
Nobody wants to touch PHP, but
PHP is big in if you go to Belgium or even in France, it's big.
So you get to speak, so you get to learn. It's broader, so I think that's a good way of doing it. And the whole kind of making those phone calls and doing that and having that kind of just getting like the volume. I think that's a good way of starting it. Because then when you go in-house, you have that with you, but you can add to it. Whereas going in-house, you're just learning you're only learning that tech stack of that one company. So you're not getting the broader skills. So I think you're better off starting off broad and then narrowing down.
And then narrow down. Okay.
Yeah.
So what will be for you the skills you were able to safely translate from agency to in-house? Saying like you, obviously there is this number going after numbers at agencies, and then you get in-house. You basically mentioned having a more focused stack.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of how you reach out to developers, what has changed, or if any thing?
Well, I no longer use my phone. I don't even answer my phone, because it's just agencies trying to sell me recruitment services, and I don't want to talk to them.
Nice.
Because I can do it myself. But what's changed, but that's not from going from agency to in-house. That has changed just the way the developers, they don't answer the phone anymore.
Okay.
Like when I started 5 years ago, you could call any time of day and they would answer.
Indeed.
And then in the end, just before I left the agency, I could make like 100 phone calls in one afternoon and not have a single answer.
Wow. And
their answer was, we'll just call some more people. Where I was going, can't I do something else to reach out to them? And they're like, no, we've always used a phone and that's what we do. Whereas then, I tried the emails, I knew that worked and everything, but they weren't really giving me the tools to do that. So when I moved in-house, I was like, I'm not using my phone, I'm using emails, and that works for me.
Okay. So emails.
Yes.
Are you more like personalizing them versus like broadcasting?
No,
what is the approach?
When I started using emails, I was more of the kind of templated sending large amounts at the time. But I've gone from that to having much more personalized and targeted. I believe in, rather than reaching out to a lot and reaching a few, I'd rather, reach a few and get better results.
Okay, but what is the touch, like the Sofia touch? Like I'm reading that email I received from Sofia, like that's her. That is her signature.
Because I'll pick up on things that they have done that relates to what we do. So obviously I'm looking for developers who develop our streaming services, whether it's Android, iOS or web, they're going to be developing in some sort of streaming service.
Okay.
So obviously I want people who either have done that or would like to do that or somehow would be interested in it, or people who are, because we're quite good at using new technology, like the web team use React and GraphQL, our integrations team use Elixir and Go.
Wow.
So we have quite a good, interesting tech stack. So either you go after people because of they would be interested in our tech stack, or they'd be interested in what we do. Like, for example, I found an Android developer once on Stack Overflow. He had answered a question related to an issue with Chromecast. So I pretty much sent a message going, did you solve the Chromecast issue? And an Android developer answering questions about issues with Chromecast, that's exactly what we do.
Yeah,
so I go after him, and he was like, wow, no, he wasn't interested, but he was impressed by the fact that I was picking up on a query within Stack Overflow, not just going, the tags, okay, here's top tags,
yeah.
But going actually into it and seeing what they have done. And
that is impressive in a way. I have to admit that I'm a software engineer, and I received someone, like a message from someone really targeting that little thing.
Yeah.
You like nitpicking the little line.
Yes.
It is impressive in a way. So you really go far in terms of.
Yeah, but it isn't that far.
Research. Well, how many of you are doing it out there?
I don't know. Not
so. That's the thing. Is like talking with Eva. She said a lot of people that are just assuming, well, you get some keywords right and that's it. You're done. You don't. But going a little bit.
I'm much more. I have a friend, a recruiter called Guillaume. I heard him use the term like behavioral sourcing. Some people call it like implicit sourcing and things. But I look at, rather than looking at for keywords, you look at how people kind of show their interest. So what groups are they in? What questions are they asking or answering on Stack Overflow? Not just simply going at, okay, repositories and GitHub, what technologies have to use, but what is their project doing? What problems are they solving with their repositories? Or kind of going, what have they forked? What have they starred?
Wow.
To show, rather than go, okay, match Java, it's a match. It's more, okay, what type of Java?
Yeah,
I've given the example, if you're recruiting for, let's say, the gambling industry, and you find somebody and realize on their Facebook that they're kind of part of Amnesty International and Greenpeace and all of that, probably quite an ethical person, you wouldn't go after that person with a job at a gambling company.
It's a waste of time, indeed.
But yes, exactly. It's a wasted email.
Yeah.
Even if you get a reply, it's going to be a no. So that's a wasted. So I want to really choose who I contact. I rather contact the people who are more likely to be interested in us in a company than just because of the keywords match.
Got it.
Yeah.
Understood. That is impressive. I didn't expect that level of detail in terms of like finding. Yeah, that's if you start programming a few years ago or learn how to do it.
About 20 years ago or more.
Okay, that's a long time ago.
I was 12. Okay.
Fine.
25 years ago, by the way.
It is amazing. But then, if you were to stream down the job as a tech recruiter to a new junior and say, okay, here are the 3 things you're gonna need to learn or master if you want to succeed in that industry, what would those 3 things be?
See, I want to go at it another way. I'm going to change the question.
Okay, go ahead.
Rather than what do you need to learn, I'm thinking, what do you need to have in order to become a good one?
Okay.
So, because some people think that, because if somebody calls me HR, I'll be upset. I'm not HR. I'm a recruiter. I have no HR background now whatsoever. Okay. So I don't think you necessarily have to have, but I think you need to have that curiosity. You need to want to find out things about people. You want to have that curiosity to find new ways and smarter ways of doing things. Like, for example, if there's a person I haven't seen for 5 years, I'll be like, oh, I wonder where they live now. Have they moved? Do they live with someone? I will do that.
Yeah.
Not as a job. I will do that because I'm just like stalking people.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious.
And you have the skill set to do it, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
You can,
but probably,
you're a researcher.
But I've gained those skills because I'm curious. So it's not like I gained the skills and then I started using them. It's because I'm interested in finding out stuff. I gained the skills.
Yeah,
so I think if you are a curious person, you want to find out more. You're not just happy with somebody going, oh, this is going, well, I want to find out more. How did that happen? What happened? Why? So I think if you have that, you have the kind of natural ability of becoming a good tech recruiter because you need to find those things out. And because some people will only look at LinkedIn, and I mean, I also use LinkedIn. I do that, but I will also look at somebody else. I'll try to create a bigger picture of a person to understand that person more before I reach out.
Yeah. Okay. That is literally the first job they gave you, being a researcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
that's so you have to have that curiosity. And I think even if you don't know tech, you don't have to be able to program and things like that. But I think you have to be tech interested.
Okay. So there's a curiosity part.
Yeah, curiosity and at least tech, interested in tech and going, it's like, it's amazing what you can do by programming stuff. You know, have at least that interest. Because, for example, I don't like cars. If somebody starts talking to me about cars, you know, I'm not going to listen and explain the parts to me. It's just going to go in one ear and out the other. Whereas with tech, it's more interesting to find out, okay, how did that work together? And what's this and what's that? And you, even though I don't understand all of it, I'm interested in seeing how it connects.
Yeah.
So I think you need to be interested in tech. Otherwise, it's going to be tricky.
Okay. So, but then you, at some point, you still need to go and, understand that world.
Yeah.
Because if you join that industry and then you're like, I'm curious, I want to know about things. What will be the step those people need to take? Because you were kind of lucky in a way. Because I mean, I'm not saying lucky really, but it's more about you had a perfect combination. It's
quite circumstantial.
Yeah, exactly. So someone who doesn't have that setup, what will they do in terms of learning tech jargon?
Follow blogs, read blogs, talk to the developers, ask them. You know, like one of the first things with my intro when I started at TV4 was to you should book yourself in one of the mob stations and sit with the mob for 1 hour.
Okay.
So I just sat there with the developers for 1 hour watching them program in the mob station. As you know, so just kind of ask the developers, you know, what are you doing now and how does that work and how does your team connect with that team?
Okay.
It's that curiosity again.
You need that indeed.
Yes. The willingness to find things out and not just waiting for somebody to come tell you. Having that going asking and finding the information and not just through Google, through whatever, reading blogs, but also talking to people.
Okay.
And
what is the most exciting part? I just knocked the table. What is the most exciting part for you as a tech recruiter on a daily basis? What is the thing you wake up in the morning and you're like, I'm looking forward to this in that industry?
See, I'm always trying to find new ways of finding things. Almost to the extent of I just find a new way and go, yeah, that was great, and I'm going to find new things. Okay. So sometimes I have to remind myself that now you found this thing, now do it and go through the people and actually, do the stuff. So I'm more in, some people are you kind of going, oh, there's something new, to hear about something at a conference like SourceCon where I was just at now, and they'll go, oh, I'll try that, and then they fall into their old habits. I'm kind of always falling into the new ones.
Okay.
And forgetting about the old ones.
Wow.
So I'm always, my latest meetup was started a few years ago, and then I was doing a lot with meetup, and now I know how to do that. So now I'm really digging deep into GitHub. Trying to do that. I just created a list of all the different type of search operators you can use within the GitHub search. And things like
You're a geek. This is incredible. You really dive into that thing.
Yes, so now I'm really going, what else can I do with GitHub that I haven't done yet or nobody else haven't done yet? How else? And the latest thing I do is probably more going into, for example, with video and streaming. There's not a technology like, you can use JavaScript for streaming. You can use Java. You can use pretty much any language to work on streaming. So I can't do a search for people on GitHub through going language video because that doesn't exist. And even if I do video.js, it's not really a language but what I do instead of find repositories about streaming. So I'm not looking for a repository with a certain tag, but I'm looking for a repository with mentioning perhaps streaming or video in the README file context, or in the description. Yeah. And then you look at the people who has either forked or stargazed and things, those correct type of repositories, and then you find the people who are interested.
You are amazing in a way. Like it is really impressive what you've done so far. So let me ask you a few more questions. We actually touched on the good stories, like an epic story you had.
Yeah.
Do you have any like stories things that didn't work?
I don't think I have like a big story, but obviously the same. You know, you'll send a template and you've accidentally taken away one of the brackets, so it says "Hi, candidate F name." You know, you accidentally send that kind of messages, or when you send a message to your Android developer's boyfriend, you know, it's like, no, I wouldn't want to work with my girlfriend, thank you very much. You know, reaching out to the wrong people, or accidentally sending something, or reaching out to somebody that you sent an email to 2 weeks ago, and they're like, yeah, but I did, you know, you spoke to me 2 weeks ago, don't remember me, and kind of, oh, sorry. So not really taking care and making little mistakes like that. That happens when you don't take care.
Nice. No, it's one of the Teddy's or Eva, it was basically sending that weird email saying she was working for a company called Inside, and then she's like, would you want to join Inside? Something that was so quite awkward, it's
so you make so I don't have like a full-blown bad story, but you do make mistakes like that, and you kind of feel like, why did I do that? But that's the thing sometimes when you're as a recruiter, because the candidates or people you reach out to, they view you as a like person, no matter what company you're representing. And obviously when you change companies, you have no longer access to the old database. You can't really see who's been in touch with who in the past, which could mean when you change companies, you reach out to somebody that you've actually met in the past, but because you can't look them up in the database, you can't double check to see if there's somebody met in the past. They remember you going, well, you met with me 6 months ago, and you kind of go, sorry. I don't have access to that information anymore because I switched companies. So it's that, you know, we meet a lot of people, and you remember most of them, to be honest. But sometimes you kind of go, I'm not sure whether I met that person. And so you don't know. It's tricky. You can't keep it all in your head.
So you are in Amsterdam today for a conference. And you were a speaker. What I stalked you on the internet. I did that. So one of the thing you were actually giving your first talk at that conference.
Not my first talk ever, but my first talk at SourceCon.
At SourceCon. Can you tell us more about that talk? What was it about?
The talk I decided to do was on automation. I called it automation, making our lives easier. Because I always try and make things easier for me. If there's something I do often and it's tedious, I want to look, how can I do this in a better way? And in my talk, I mentioned like kind of why is this? And because when I started, like I mentioned, I was given that Excel sheet with the list of the people studying at university in Sweden. And they showed me how this list worked. They're going, if you want to find somebody who studied information technology, you just scroll through the list until you get to the site where it says information technology. And that's the people who have studied. I'm going, well, why can't you just put a filter at the top of the list and filter it? They're like, oh, can you? And to me, I was like, can I play with this sheet, please, to make it better? And they let me do that, and it made it so much better. But to me, it's like, why didn't any of the people working there think, like, there must be a better way? And to me, it's amazing. How can somebody sit and work in Excel and not know that you can filter it? How's that even possible? You know, so I'm always kind of going, well, there must be a better way. And that's the same thing. And I've discovered IFT and Zapier and things, you know, to make things easier.
Are you using Zapier heavily? Okay.
Yes, I love Zapier. Zapier's my favorite. But also it's just nice kind of, if you do a lot of things in Excel a lot, just create a macro. And just, if it's something that you do a lot of the time, just make sure you don't
I'm sorry,
have to
Sofia. I'm really sorry. Not everyone goes to that level, that detail. I mean, that level of detail. You're a geek. You literally go and do what I will do. I'm like, I've been doing that thing so many times. Let's just automate that.
Yes,
but it's amazing. Exactly. Like you sharing that during the talk. Yeah,
Again,
and
there's so many things you can
how do you?
automate.
How was the people? How were the people in the room receptive? Were they receptive to that, or?
I think so. I tried to keep it broad because I knew it was the kind of track that was meant to be broader and appeal to everyone, not just the geeky ones. But I did talk a little bit about the scraping and doing that, so that ended up being slightly geeky as well. But it's just so easy, kind of just when you copy pasted the same email so many times to send to different people each week, you just automate that instead.
Yeah. So, and do you have any talk coming in the?
I'll be giving a talk at Hyatt BCN in Barcelona in 3 weeks on a similar topic. So it's going to be almost the same talk, but I'm going to make a few amendments to it.
Yeah, because I heard you saying it wasn't that perfect, but you could always do better.
But I'm going to try and make it less, because now with the scraping, I'm going to make it even broader. So kind of things that, because I know the conference in Barcelona is not only sources and recruiters, it's also kind of HR people. So I'm going to try and make it appeal to all of them. With the emails, how you can automate that stuff. So not just the geeky things, but so automation stuff that anyone can use.
So as a software engineer and entrepreneur, I'm like, if you build such a tool, you automate your own thing, why don't you just sell that to your colleagues? Like, that's going to make your life easier. It's just an idea there. I'm just throwing
but I don't
that
have
thing.
any colleagues. I'm the only recruiter, so in my company.
You have millions of colleagues.
Yeah, in
just
other companies.
Not used to what I'm saying, right? So we're going to wrap that up quickly, but I have a few more questions for you.
Go for it.
So we already talked about agency or in-house.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in-house now and having fun there. If you were not a recruiter, who would you be? What would you be doing?
I've done so many things in the past. I've done sales and I've done teaching. So I'd probably be teaching some sort. I do teach now. I do have sourcing training workshops in Sweden.
Wow.
So I do teach. So I get to use that as well. When I was very young, I wanted to be an actress. So now I use that too because I stand on stage and obviously talking in front of people. So I don't really know what I've been doing. I've always been driven about doing what I enjoy. And that's what my career path has been, this, that, changing. I've done lots of various things. So I really don't know. I mean, I just fell literally kind of into recruitment. I didn't apply for the job. I just got it. Like, here you go.
Hey, you can do that. So give it a try.
So
nice.
If you would have asked me 2 months before I became a recruiter, I wouldn't have said, I'm going to be a recruiter. I didn't know that. So what I wouldn't do if I wasn't a recruiter, I don't have a clue. Okay. Because that could be anything.
Okay. So is there a company out there you admired and you will want to work for?
You've
already worked for?
Can't think of any in particular, but in terms of if I wanted to do what's important to me, if I was to do another job as a tech recruiter, the tech stack would be important. Firstly, I don't want it to be a tech stack that I'm sort of familiar with. Yeah. I don't have to know it, but it has to be something that it's that I know I can get my head around, and also a tech stack that I know is appealing to the potential candidates.
Okay.
So I think
that is really smart, because then you're on the side of the things where if you call someone, you have so much arguments to put on the table to attract them.
It's like our integrations team. They use Go and Elixir. We get applications for Elixir. We don't have to go out sourcing because people say, Elixir job, I want that.
Yeah.
So it's like, it makes my life easier. I don't have to source.
Nice. That is a good thing for the people listening right there. It is actually a good way. Even if your company isn't using such a thing, you can also advise them like, you know what? I know that thing will attract really good engineers. I know you're probably into another tech stack, but let's be realistic.
I think what is important for the companies to do is not tell them now we're going to use Elixir because that's popular, but leaving the decision of what tech to use to the developers. They're the experts. If they feel this is the issue I have, this is the problem, this is the best tech to solve that, leave that decision to them. And that's then how you'll attract other people to recruit, because they'll be like, oh, they have to, we will say, like today, the integrations team using Go and Elixir. In 1 year's time, we can't tell you that they're going to be using Go and Elixir.
Yeah.
It could be something else.
True, yeah.
We don't know what the next tech going to be, because they'll be up to them. There might be something, they'll find something new, they'll try it. Might decide it's not working, so we'll put out might something new and they'll try it, and
just
this is working
defer
really well.
that decision to the developers.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So I have 2 more questions for you. We already answered a few of them, and
I talk too much.
I mean, it's your inputs are actually quite amazing there. So, is there a technology, like you've been doing that thing, you've been doing your researches? I'm actually amazed by the level of like geekiness you have, if I were to put it that way. Is there a thing you feel like you will want to understand better, or that I can probably phrase in plain English words?
But you could explain to me. No, but you can teach me JavaScript.
JavaScript?
Yeah, I want to learn
coding it?
Yeah.
Okay. Anytime I'm gonna be in Sweden sometime. Yeah. Okay.
So many cool things you can do with JavaScript.
Yeah.
I have some great friends and colleagues in the business that are great at coding JavaScript. They help me with some lovely scripts that I use, but I love to be able to create them myself.
Okay, so we're gonna set that up.
Teach me JavaScript.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you have a routine to keep growing and learning? So the question will be like, how many hours a week do you commit on your personal growth, if any?
I don't know the amount of hours, but I know there are hours.
Okay.
Every week I'm reading something or learning something, or I'm very active in various Facebook groups, asking questions, answering other people's questions, going to conferences, listening to people. I love learning new things. And when I started as a freelancer, one of my main reasons for going freelance was to have more time to go to conferences and have more time to develop and learn.
Nice.
Because I think when you're employed, even though they might let you to go to 1 or 2 conferences a year, I mean, this year I think I've been to 7. They wouldn't have let me go to 7 conferences. But I do that myself.
Yeah.
And, so I... that was my main reason for starting freelancing.
That is amazing. So I think we have it. Do you have any questions for me, or any question or any recommendation for the people watching us? Because I think I have to be honest, I didn't expect that level of it is amazing. Or maybe you will want to recommend us someone that will be an amazing guest for us, that who's as crazy as you are.
Well, in that sense, somebody as crazy as me and stuff. Probably, as I mentioned, my friend Guillaume Alexandre. He's in Switzerland. He's very much into the behavioral sourcing and not just looking for the keywords, but looking for people's behavior and choosing the candidates from that.
So, where in Switzerland? In Zurich?
I don't know where in Switzerland he
is.
Currently, he's in Amsterdam. Well, he's on his way back to Switzerland.
Okay. Because I'm gonna be in Switzerland in like 3 weeks. So
get hold of
it. Okay, got that. I'm coming your way. What's the name again?
Guillaume Alexandre.
I'm coming your way. Trust me. So thank you, Sofia, for coming. And it was amazing. I learned a lot, and hopefully the people listening and watching us can learn from the way you've done things so far. And it is actually for the developer listening, they will contact you like, who the hell are you? Can you send me an email as well? I promise. It is amazing. I met a few like you, and I've been in touch with them like forever. Because you see them, you're like, oh, do you want to work with me? Like when I started Hackages, I was trying to get those people, and they were so busy or building their own company. So it is amazing. I'm really glad that I met you. So
it's been fun.
Thanks, and have a safe trip back to Sweden. Thank you. We got a high five. It was really good.